Welcome back. When you're making a plan, we got to decide which type of backup is the best for your files. There are two major types of backups that we're going to discuss in this course. The first one is a file level backup. A file level backup is usually the lowest cost and simplest to use of all backup systems. It's a very simple process. You just select the files and folders on your computer that you want backed up. They're normally backed up to possibly a local device like a hard drive on your network. And then they're also replicated to the cloud. The backups for file level can be scheduled, and each time it runs, it will check for files that have been modified since the last backup and normally only back up those files. That saves you the ability to have a lot of space used up because you're not backing up the same files over and over again. File level backups are typically used on PCs and laptops and not on servers. If we do use them on servers like we do here at Network Computer Solutions, they're always a backup to our backup. I like to say, you know the old theory of having belt and suspenders to keep your pants up? You never want to be exposed in case something breaks and your pants fall down. So we do the same thing on our servers. We want to have a good image-based backup that's running daily or every hour, and we also want to have a file-based backup. That gives us and stored in two different locations on the cloud, so if something was to happen to us or one of our vendors, we always have our client's data protected. We always include file-based backup as part of our enterprise imaging system. You want to make sure that anytime you have mobile users, such as laptop users, that they also include file-based backups on those mobile devices, because you need to know where all your data is at and make sure it is all backed up. File level backups do have limitations that you really need to consider. File backups do not contain the operating system, and they can't be restored and booted up as a replacement server. When you have to restore files or folders, you get only the files and not the current system state or configuration. What that means is, if you had a server crash and you only had a file-based backup, you would have to install a new server, install the operating system for that server or PC, configure it, activate it, get all your preferences and your programs installed. Then you install your files and your data on top of that, and the chances are you will never be back to the place you were before. And also, it would take a very time-consuming, long time to complete this process. In the meantime, while that server is being rebooted, though, normally you can have your clients, your employees accessing some of those files from the cloud storage location until the file server is restored. Until that file server is restored, though, you also may have the possibility of not being able to log into your network because your files may also be stored on the authentication server as well. Typically, if you lose your Active Directory domain controller on your network and all you have is file level backups, you're not going to be able to restore that entire Active Directory, and you may have the possibility of having to recreate it from scratch. So with that, and maybe too much detail, too much technical information, reach out to me and I can explain the differences to you. We can look at what you currently have and make a suggestion how we move forward. But the real backup that we need to consider for server-based backups is image-based backups. This is a more complete and well-rounded backup solution for businesses, typically often referred to as a bare metal backup restore. A true disk image is an exact copy of the entire physical disk on your server. The data is then stored locally on an appliance for quicker restores and virtualizations, as well as in the cloud for maximum protection. This is especially useful for businesses who may have a need to one day quickly recover their entire system, as their entire data is preserved. Disk image backups allow for a move to new hardware and a faster restore of all information, reducing downtime and saving money. This is the most effective in the event of a total disaster such as theft, destruction of property, hardware failure, or natural disaster. You can restore the entire system state, including the operating system, the application, everything you have installed. What this is essentially is taking a photograph of your servers, the entire hard drive or the entire partition. In the event that you have a hardware crash on your primary server and you can't be restored easily or repaired, we then we call virtualize your current server environment onto the backup disaster recovery appliance. The computers that log into your network won't even detect that is not your actual server that is running on the backup appliance. This allows us then to repair or replace the current server and then move that image that was taken originally back over to the original hardware. This gives you immediate recovery time, uptime, and no downtime, and a no loss of data. We have some of our clients who have real-time backups, and they take a backup either every 15 minutes or sometimes real-time. Every time a file changes, it has the ability to be synchronized to the external server. After that's backed up to the local computer and the local backup disaster recovery appliance, we also then back that up to the cloud, meaning that in the event that, say, you had a complete disaster in your office, whether it be a fire, a theft, or you lost your server and you lost your backup appliance, you would be able to then turn on your server in the cloud, and your employees could work from anywhere that had an internet connection and still be functional. This allows essentially no downtime in the case of any kind of disaster that could happen to your company. This is the most in-depth and complete coverage that you can get for your data. Instead of spending time managing intricate computer backups, the disk image allows you to quickly and easily make a perfect copy of your entire computer's hard drive. Image-based backups allow you to the following restore options and possibly more, depending on which system you choose and which brand of backup system you choose to operate on. You can restore as a virtual machine in the cloud. We talked about how that works in case you have a total meltdown of your office, or a theft, or a fire, or a natural disaster. You can turn on everything in the cloud, and your workforce can work remotely on that cloud installation. You also can restore directly from the cloud. If you have data needs restored, you lost your local server, you can bring it from the cloud back down to local hardware. You also have the ability to restore to dissimilar hardware. An example of that would be you had a 3-year-old server and you go to restore it, and now you have completely new hardware. Your typical Windows operating system would not support that. When you go to restore, it would notice there's new hardware there and would want to install new drivers, and it complicates the installation. We allow it to be installed in a virtual world using VMware or Hyper-V, meaning that the backup server that you have on your tape does not even detect what type of hardware you're on. So you get the speed benefits of newer hardware without having to restore or recreate or reinstall all of your operating systems on your old server. We also have the ability from an image-based backup to restore individual files. We're not forced to reinstall the entire image at one time. We can mount that as a volume on your network. It would show up as just like a network drive letter, and then we can grab the individual files that we need. This can all be done in a very short amount of time, minutes sometimes. The options that you choose to back up your server changes based on the role. The role of the server. There are times when a one-day project shutdown results in a huge expense. Then if you do that, then choose image-based backup. It'll allow you to make a fully functional system backup and restore in the shortest time possible. If you can't afford downtime, the imaging is the way to go for you. Image-based backups can be restored on another server as well, or in cloud storage. So if your physical server is destroyed, you can restore it anywhere you need to, even onto a laptop if possible, just to make sure that you're up right away. File level backups is also enough when you have to back up documents, tables, databases, or just working data. The process will be much faster typically, and no extra load on the server like the imaging would, but your restoration options are limited if you have a file level backup. That's why we do that in addition to imaging backups on most of our file servers. Stay tuned for more training on your backup planning considerations next.